Hey everyone, welcome back to part 2 of the episode on confidence. So today we're talking about how to build confidence from a sport performance angle. All right. So I'm going to very quickly go over the last week's episode and the first 3 points we made because we got a lot more to get into. So let's recap. Assess and identify the mental barriers for you, what's keeping you from being more confident. Focus on your strengths and your past successes. You all have strengths. Number 3, set small, attainable goals. Okay. Number 4, use visualization techniques. So I use visualization techniques before I'm about to race. I go through how I plan to show up, how I plan to race. I know how I'm going to feel. I go through in my mind's eye and envision the swim. I envision the bike. I envision the run. If we've had time, we've gone ahead of time and actually drove the course with our car. We drove the bike portion and the run portion, and we usually are there ahead of time, of course. And you can see the morning of, you can see the swim course. Okay, so I'm envisioning myself on the course. If it's a running race and we have time, again, we will drive the marathon course. We drive the half marathon. We don't do it so much for 5 or 10Ks, but if we haven't driven it, we look at the map on the website and we look at the elevation. We know if there's hills. We pay attention to all of that. And that helps me visualize how I plan to show up and how I plan to perform. So when we do this, it primes the brain to respond with confidence because it's like your brain has already, air quote, seen the course. Okay. That's really important. So it's almost like you've done a dress rehearsal. You do dress rehearsals before a play or an act or a show. This is the same. When I'm about to talk, I envision how I'm going to show up, literally what I might be wearing, how I'm going to walk on the stage, how I'm going to look, and I envision my talk. I envision what I'm going to say and where I'm going to put influence and where I'm going to have affectation, where I'm going to pull in some humor. I envision the whole thing. So it is true. It's almost like, oh, I've been here before. I've done this already. Really, really important. So use visualization techniques. Number 5, you need to implement positive self-talk and affirmations. And I know that this can be hard because many people go into the scarcity mindset. We go into comparing and despairing. We compare ourselves to the other athletes, the other runners. We might compare ourselves to the other people who are speaking ahead of us. You name it. You compare yourself to your colleagues, your coworkers. You compare yourself to people on social media. Don't do that. Use that positive self-talk. And I don't mean in a toxic positivity way. I want it to be real. I want it to be authentic. And I want you to use affirmations. I want you to tell yourself and write it down. I write these things down, what you're good at and how you're going to show up and how you're going to do. And if the negative thoughts come in, I want you to use what we call in cognitive behavioral therapy, opposite action. I want you to tell yourself the opposite of what you just thought and what you just said. And I know you're not going to feel like it. I know it's not going to resonate. It doesn't matter. I want you to do it anyway. I haven't studied hard enough. I'm going to fail this test. No. So opposite action is I could have studied more and I've done enough and I'm going to do well. Okay. So even if it's really hard, because this can be a hard one for clients. They say, well, I really don't believe it. Well, this is sort of a fake it till you make it. I want you to use opposite action. I want you to say, I have studied and I'm going to do well in this exam. Tell your brain what you're going to do because your brain is listening to you. It's listening to your thoughts. This is the neuroplasticity. This is the new science of neuroscience, what we know to be true.
So just from a coaching, let me give you a coaching twist on this. So the other side of we'll go pull the curtain back from a coaching perspective for a second.
And sport coaching.
Yeah. So the visualization part of it, I'm with you all the way through. Definitely check out the scene, understand what it looks like, how to best manage it. If it's a 5K, you want to know what am I going to see if I'm coming up to the finish line and I'm dead tired and I need to give a little bit of extra effort. Where's that last corner? Where's that last little hill?
Yes.
So those are all great visualization moments that are good for you. Same for a swimmer. What is it that I'm looking for on the beach so I know where the swim exit is?
Yes.
Is it a big tree? Is it a water tower? Is it a dock?
You're right, Tim. And I mean, I didn't, okay, so we can get into the weeds. I think you're right. I think it's important. You made me do it. You've taught me this because you were my triathlon coach at one time. I've had other triathlon coaches. You're right.
They weren't
So,
as good though. They're just different.
yeah. Now it was because you and I were husband and wife, and
That's
then we
funny.
moved into coach and athlete role, and we fought the whole time.
Yeah.
And I questioned you, and you got so annoyed. You're like, no one, my clients don't question me the way you question me. And I said, you're fired. You go, no, you're fired. I fire you. You go, no, I fire you. You're a terrible client.
It was
Like,
a mutual firing.
we did not.
Oh
That
my
was one
gosh.
area in life where we didn't get along. I know I was the most exasperating athlete. I know I was for you. So there you go. It was a little bit too, we overstepped boundaries with each other and we just
That's a
didn't work.
tough one to have. You have a relationship,
So mad
and
at you
you're
in
trying to
Highcliffe.
have,
Remember
yeah,
Highcliffe? I had the
yeah.
half Ironman of Highcliff,
Yeah.
Wisconsin. When
That's a different episode, but
that's
yeah.
a different episode. And I was like ugly crying in front of about 300 people on a hill, like wailing, crying. I was so mad at you. You
Yeah.
coached me on that. But
Yeah.
okay. So
Just I'm thinking like the visualization part, and I also so another point I was going to make was like I also think, and I use this with athletes now. I think it's also good to give them a sneak peek of things that could go wrong, so that if and when it does, you're ready. Like you have a plan in your back pocket that you can pull out and be like, you know what, I heard that this might come up, and this is what I'm going to do
Yeah.
about it. So that could be somebody that's an athlete. That could be somebody that's about ready to give, and this is something you've done before, like you're about ready to give a presentation. Well, what if you roll up that day and you go into this company and the cord that you have thought was going to be provided for you from your laptop
Yes.
to the projector is different,
Yes.
or it's gone, or it's missing, or it's broken.
Right. It has
Right.
happened.
So
Yeah.
you have to have a different plan that you can say, you know what, it's okay.
You have to have a plan for when things go wrong, but we're
Yeah.
getting a little bit off of visualization techniques because that's a really good point. You have to have a plan for when, yeah, the chords don't match what my PowerPoint's on, when goggles get knocked off your face or you're like swallowing water in your middle of a lake. You got to have a plan for that. Like,
Yeah.
what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You're right.
But it comes from a place of setting somebody up for positive, right? It comes, so you're taking a quick peek at the negative or the bad, but it comes from a place of setting you up to know how to deal with it in real time so that you don't have to make it up in real time. You don't have to make up your answer in real time. And then you get down on yourself and you let that negative thing, whatever it is, that cord that doesn't work or the goggles that are broken, you let that rule the day for you.
And I think that the positive self-talk is, I got this.
Yes.
This sucks. And I got this. Don't use buts. It's yes and yes and. And
Yeah.
that goes back to Second City. Anybody who has been in an improv class, it's always about yes and. So it's yes, this, yes, I am slowing down and the sun is beating down on my shoulders. And you're thinking, shit, I didn't put on sunscreen. And I'm feeling exhausted and I'm bonking because I ran out of salts or I dropped my salts on my run, or I forgot my cord, or you name it, or something happened. Seriously, the dog ate my homework. You can use that. That happens to us in life, no matter where we are. We feel like we're not fully prepared, or something comes in, our flight's delayed. We're not going to get there in the time that we thought we were going to get there to get a good night's sleep, to really prepare for whatever it is. You name it, right?
Yeah.
So you take it and it's like, and I got this, and I can do this, and I've done the work. When my son recently was studying for the LSAT, and he was really nervous, and he tends to run anxious like I do. And he's like, I'm nervous. He's always been the one that we've kind of had to talk off the ledge a little bit. We have to bring him down from his anxiety, and he is open to it. He does respond to it. And I said to him, Grafton, and we use this in triathlon talk all the time. I said, the hay is in the barn. You're done. You've studied, you got a tutor, you've been studying for months. You had the tutor helping you. The LSAT's tomorrow morning. You're good. You got this. The hay is in the barn. Close the door. Now time to chill. Get a good night's sleep. Have some good protein in the morning. That's what I said to him. I said, have like a steak and eggs. I remember my mother used to make steak and eggs for my father early in the morning whenever he had a big surgery and it was early in the morning. We'd be getting for school. I could smell meat cooking. I have such a strong memory of that because my mother was making my father really good protein if he had 4 to 6 hour surgery. Same thing. I'd said to him, get a good night's sleep, know that you're done, eat well, and you got this. And remember that. Tell yourself, I got this. It's all behind me now.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and use that for whatever it is you all are working on in your life. If you have an event coming up, use that thinking, okay? And use opposite action. If you find yourself going down that negative spiral, a negative rabbit hole, it's not fair to you to do that. Don't be so mean to yourself. You must use a positive, even if you don't feel like it. And even if you don't believe it, this is the one time I don't really care. I want you to say it anyway. And sometimes clients will say to me, I can't. I'm like, all right, well, then go into the neutral. If you can't, if you're really negative and you say, I can't be positive, then come to the middle and at least use a neutral statement that's not ripping on yourself.
Mm.
Okay, really important. All right, the next one is centering and grounding techniques. So for me, those centering and grounding techniques are breath control, using breath work before a race, progressive muscle relaxation, and that's where you tighten the different parts of your body from your toes all the way up to the top of your head. You hold it tense for maybe 10 seconds, you let it go, then you move up to the next body part. That really does work, really can help people calm and can really help bring down anxiety. My performance ritual before races was always to go off and get away from all the people because we would know, especially the local races, we knew a lot of people and could be a real social hour. And that wasn't good for me because I'm very outgoing and I love people and I love to talk to people. And I enjoy that, but that really takes me out of a racing mindset and I need to stay in racing mindset. It takes the competitive edge out of me. So I want that edge. I want to be like the tip of the sword. So for me to be at the tip of the sword, I've got to get away from people and stay in competitive mindset. So my grounding techniques and centering techniques are to go away from people, really literally sit by myself somewhere where it's a little bit quieter. And I visualize the race. Like I just said, I visualize every part of the race or I'll go away from a talk, go to a quiet part of the hotel conference room. I'll visualize the stage, visualize myself walking up on the stage, visualize myself smiling, looking at the people, visualize myself getting the PowerPoint up and starting my talk, visualizing how the whole thing is going to go. Okay. Grounding techniques for me are, and I don't, of course, do this in talks because that would look totally weird, but triathlons, take your shoes off or take off your flip flops and stand on the ground, stand in the grass with your bare feet. That's grounding. Feel the earth underneath your feet. Feel yourself, time and place in this present moment. This is a meditative exercise. Present moment, feet touching the grass. Feel the earth underneath you. That will ground you in this moment. And then for me, I move into gratitude. I'm so thankful to be here. I'm so thankful that I have my health. I'm so thankful that I can do this because there's so many people my age who cannot do this. And I'm so grateful and have so much thankfulness that I can do it. So that really does help me start with a wonderful attitude, but I got to get away from people. It's not the time for me to be social. It's a time for me to be really competitive because I want to beat you.
I want to beat you.
Yeah.
So I think we don't get, and I get why. So if you're watching sports on TV, we don't typically get a peek inside the before, right? Like the locker room every once in a while you'll get a sneak peek. You'll get it a lot at the Olympics.
Well, you do. I've noticed it, Tim, recently watching the football games, the NFL football games. They will show you snippets of before the game starts, like the game is at 12. We turn on at 11:30, right? And you'll see sometimes they'll show you the NFL Network or whoever, ESPN will show you the warm-ups outside. They will show you, I've noticed it, that players, they're usually in their face into their cubby or sometimes they face out, but they put a towel over their head, a lot of them. They're doing their pre-performance rituals.
Right.
Many of them are doing what I just said right now. So there's somebody, maybe they have a sports performance coach that works for the team. Maybe they've hired their own. They're doing these centering techniques. Many of them are meditating. Many of them are saying prayers, but many of them are doing exactly what I just talked about. They're doing progressive muscle relaxation. They're breathing. They're going through mantras. They're telling themselves those really powerful mantras. Okay, so that's really important. I have noticed it. I was going to say something to you last month or so. Hey, look, they are doing that. This is their ritual. Okay, because what this is doing when you're working on your centering techniques is it reduces the impact of your nervousness. It brings down your nerves and helps you access your skills in a confident manner. That's really important. So before I was doing this work, I had such performance anxiety. I thought of the only visual I can share with all of you that would explain how I would feel on the inside was I was like a racehorse before the race. And if you've ever seen a thoroughbred race, whether you've watched a Kentucky Derby on television or you've ever been to them and you see them in the paddock before it's riders up, when riders are up, you'll see these horses, they have that white in between their legs and their chest. That's sweat. They work themselves up into such lather because they know what they're about to do. They have trained for this. But some horses, more than others, get very nervous. They don't have a pre performance routine. And that's why when you see some of them go out and they get on the track, the jockeys or sometimes the escort will allow them to canter. They'll let them go off because they need to do a run. They need to do a canter. They need to work out that energy that's all built up inside of them. That's how I would feel. I would feel like I was working myself up into this nervous, anxious lather that was so mentally painful. And we talked about it on the podcast before. Like, I didn't know how to deal with it. So I would cry. Remember, I would cry.
You'd have moments like that.
I would cry in the
Yeah.
car. I'd cry on on the way to the start of a race. I would not be able to sleep at night. It was terrible. I would not wish that sort of anxiety that was wasn't even a 10. It was like an 11 or 12 for me at times. And it wasn't until back then, until I was like, the swim had started, the gun had gone off, and I was probably into my third stroke that I could finally use that adrenaline that was building up in my system for some good. I would finally be able to use what my anxiety had been building up some days for the Ironman races, the high Ironmans, days before. And it was a terrible way to live. It was really awful. It was so weird. Like I would actually even hope like a tornado would come through or we'd get in a car. It's crazy. I know. I'm
What?
like, I would. I don't think I've told you
Yikes.
this. I'd be like, maybe we can get to a fender bender and we can't go to the race. I was that nervous. I was looking for, I was fantasizing about ways of me not being able to go to the race because then all this anxiety would go away. It was terrible.
How can we make it stop right now? Right? That's what you're saying?
I didn't, I wanted out of it. And
Yeah.
it's funny. I never told you. I was embarrassed. But that was my fantasy, was that how can I get out of this race? But I knew that if that had happened and a storm had come through and the whole race was canceled and I went home, I knew I'd always say, Anna, you're going to be upset because you did all this training and now there's no race. So but it was just a terrible sense of like sort of being imprisoned by my own self. And if anybody has anxiety who's watching or listening, you know what this feels like. It's awful. So that's why these centering and grounding techniques are so, so important if you have any kind of anxiety, because it does help to bring you down a couple of notches. Okay. So it really does help bring down the impact that your nervous system is having on you. And it does allow you to, like I said, access the skills that you have in a confident manner. So when I went away and I would do the visualization, I did come back more confident. I'm like, I have fully prepared for this and I'm good.
Yeah. I think the other thing that helped you too was at the beginning, right before the race actually started, but it was kind of during the beginning of like the check-in process and like getting yourself situated, like just going off and yeah, okay, a warm-up run, there's physical benefits for that.
Yeah.
Obviously.
That would help. Yeah.
But I think there's far more mental benefits to that moment, right?
Yes.
Where you go off and you run for half a mile and maybe you put music on, maybe you don't. A lot of these guys will listen to things, right? Certain athletes will listen to things just to kind of get themselves comfortable. I think they listen to things that they like. It makes them feel
Right.
like they're like balled up inside
Right.
themselves. But for you, that was helpful too, is just to kind of just get away, like you said, get away from people.
And then we would always do a
do your
10-minute
thing.
warm up.
Yeah.
Remember that? We would do
Yeah.
a 10-minute warm up. You get a nice kind of a sort of a little bit of a sweat going, but it
Yeah.
really helped to calm my nerves down.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. You're right.
It's important to me that the supplements I take are of the highest quality. And that's why for 5 years, I've been drinking AG1. Unlike many supplement brands, AG1 conducts relentless testing to set the standard for purity and potency. I know I can trust what's in every scoop of AG1 because it's tested for 950 contaminants and banned substances, while the industry standard typically only tests for 10. Taking care of my health shouldn't be complicated, and AG1 simplifies this by covering my nutritional basis and setting myself up for success in just 60 seconds. AG1's ingredients are heavily researched for efficacy and quality, and I love that every scoop also includes prebiotics, probiotics, and digestive enzymes for gut support. So if you want to replace your multivitamin and more, start with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first subscription at drinkag1.com/Anna. That's drinkag1.com/Anna. Check it out. You will not regret it.
Next one, number 7 is I want you to build a growth mindset. Okay. So know that you're going to have challenges and there's times you're going to make mistakes. There's times that you're going to fail. I want you to fail forward. That's really important because there is no perfection here. And it's fool's errand if you think that you're going to do anything perfectly. None of us does anything perfectly. Okay. So by really looking at this rather than from a scarcity mindset where, oh, it's all going to shit, it's all bad, and moving into this growth oriented view, what you're doing is starting to look at all of your experiences part of your own developmental process and whatever it is that you're trying to grow in or work on. Maybe you're trying to get good grades or get better grades. Maybe you're trying to expand your law practice. Maybe maybe you just want to get 1 or 2 new clients in the next 3 months. Whatever that it is for you, think of it as a way of, okay, I've made mistakes before, but I'm going to use all that as a process and learn from it to move me into know that you are resilient. And in your resilience, you become more confident. Okay, that's really important. So, resilience is a big part of confidence. And it's being able to get knocked down and then get back up, get knocked down and then get back up.
Yeah. And that's probably more common is they get
We
knocked
all
down.
get knocked down.
Yeah.
All the time.
You have to be able to
Yeah.
recover from that.
I get knocked down. I don't even think of it this way, but I'm thinking about like, I think it goes on weekly for most of us. I get knocked down by when I'm pitching myself to have not so much to go on podcasts, but when I'm pitching for bigger named kind of semi celebrities or professional athletes or some bigger name people that I want to interview for the Badass Confidence Coach of this podcast, and they don't respond. Well, first of all, you're not ever going to get them. You're going to get their PR person, their publicist, their public relations person. You're going to maybe get an admin. It's very hard to get them to respond. And even when you send out 2 or 3 emails, they don't respond. And that to me, sometimes I feel like I'm hitting a brick wall. And I know that you've helped with it a little bit for the podcast, not so much to get names in the podcast, but in other parts of what we're doing here. And it's frustrating. And I feel like I'm getting knocked down, but it doesn't stop me. I should say, and it doesn't stop me. It just keeps me, just keep moving forward. Just keep moving forward. Move, 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 move forward. And that's what I would say to all of you. If I was coaching you, if I was your marathon coach, if I was your life coach, this is what I tell people. Move, keep going, even if it's in really small increments, and give yourself a pat on the back for moving forward. 1 more email. That's okay. You didn't get a response today and that you didn't send out 20. 1 more email. Move forward. That's really important.
Yeah. And I think it's important to remember too. It's
Growth
like
mindset.
you don't have any idea. You send out that email, you don't have any idea what's going on. There's a lot of influencers along the
Right.
way. The email got put in their trash. So had a bad day, it didn't get to their
Well, you're
email.
competing with a bunch of other people,
Or- or you're
you're competing with
competing-
other people.
Yeah.
And you can try to do it through Instagram, which I've tried to do, but they don't know who I am. And like people DM me all the time on Instagram and it goes into I actually forget there's a file in there that I don't check very often because there's people I know, I don't know Instagram. And then there's like a general and then there's another one because Instagram knows I don't know them. And that's where people are pitching for me for all kinds of things they want to do for me. And I just delete them. And I don't know, it's like 3 months later. And so I do it. So I get it. I do it too. I don't
Right.
know you.
But I think it's important to say for you delete it, but it's not personal to that person.
Exactly.
Right?
And I know it's not personal to me.
And it's not personal to you in terms of like the listener. There's things that are going to be out there that are going to influence things that happen or don't happen, but don't
Yes.
take it
Don't
personally.
take it personally.
And
Yeah,
keep
really
on
important.
rolling.
And
right?
that's your growth mindset.
Yes.
So
Yep.
I'm going to take a little bit of a break right now to remind all of you to come talk to me. Okay. If you are looking for coaching, if you listen to this podcast and you've gotten a flavor of what coaching might look like, come talk to me. And you're interested in, that I could use that. If you're in Illinois, I can be your therapist. if you think that I might be a fit for you. But if you're looking for coaching, come talk to me. Get on a discovery call and let's see if I'd be a good fit for you. Okay. So I want to put that out there because I realize that sometimes I don't say it on here and I am available to you. And people have been responding when I have been saying this because I think that my podcast manager is like, you got to let people know. And it's really true.
Yeah.
So I would love to do that. So I'd love to have you all here. If you're interested in group coaching, email me hello@annamarcolene.com and we can talk about group coaching as well. Okay. Next one. I want you to develop performance routine for whatever it is that you're doing in your life. In performance routine, develop a routine. Develop a routine. So develop a routine for how you get up in the morning. I think how you get up in the morning starts the night before. I always say that. I think you need to think about how you go to bed at night. When you wash your face, you brush your teeth, you pee, maybe you look at your phone a little bit, then I would have you put your phone down. You get some really good quality sleep. If you take, something to help you sleep, hopefully it's not like a narcotic or Ambien because those things are like the devil to me. But maybe you're taking a melatonin. I take progesterone to help me sleep at night now. It's been wonderful, but develop a routine. So it's a performance routine because I want to sleep well. So I have a performance routine for sleep. And then when I wake up at the alarm, we get up and my routine is coffee in the morning, make the bed every single morning. My day is not complete. It hasn't started well if I didn't make that bed. So coffee, make the bed, workout clothes on or winter clothes on to go walk the dogs. This is what we do all the time. Come back in, and then I will sit at my desk. I will look at emails. This is early. This is like 6:37. I will look at emails. I'll respond to emails. I'll start to get ready I look at my schedule, look at my day, what clients I have. I start to put them in my mind because I start to think about what it is that we're working on. I'm thinking about each and every one of them. I'm looking at my notes that I took from last week or the week before with them. I'm starting to think about what we might be talking about, start thinking about my therapy clients. And then when I'm done with that, then I know my day, I go back, then I go to work out. I spend an hour, 45 minutes to an hour doing a workout, whether it be a run or strength training. Then it's shower. So here you go. And it's clothes on, makeup, come downstairs, home office, get going. That's usually how my morning goes, but that's my performance routine.
Yeah.
Really important that you all, if you have a semi routine, I would encourage you to button that up. Okay. I want you to button up the routine. I don't want it to be, 3 days a week I do this and this is willy nilly. No more of that. We don't want no willy nilly stuff. We don't want don't half ass it. Okay. Make it a routine. And I really want you to button it up. That's going to make a really big difference for you in your mental, physical, and your emotional preparedness for your day and your weeks.
I agree with it. I think for me, the biggest thing to do is to set up your morning the night before.
That's what you said.
But I mean, to really focus on that,
Okay.
because that is something like if the morning's tough to begin with, right? The morning just is. You're sleepy. It's dark. There's all kinds of things. There's things that are going to have to happen. It's a routine that it's the same stuff every day, right? But the better you can make that go because of the things you did the night before. So that's less stress for you. That's less anxiety for you. That's less frustrations for you in the morning.
It's a sense of, and we all want that sense of control. And the sense of predictability gives us control over our lives, thus leading to mastery. So it's a sense of self-mastery over our mornings, which I think probably almost all humans want and crave and desire. So this is how you do it. Okay. So you really want to get your mind and your body prepared. What we talk about in sport, optimal performance. This is what high performers do. High performers are doing this. And I'm talking about high performers in corporate America in the entrepreneurial space who make a lot of money. So I'll define them that way. They're very wealthy people. They have routines. They have systems that they have set up for themselves. Now they're not perfect. They get off of it. But what sets them apart is that they don't judge it and they hit the reset button. They recalibrate, they reset, and they start again. Okay. So there's never going to be perfection here. But if you want to know what the high performers around you are doing, you want to know what these wealthy people in this country are doing, that's what they're doing. They have systems, they have a routine. It's not perfect. When they get off track, they don't stay off track. They get right back up on the horse and they hit reset and they continue to go. They move. Move, move, move is one thing I would say. Mentally, psychologically, emotionally, physically, move the needle forward.
Yeah.
Really important.
It's good advice.
Okay. The next number 9 is you got to hold yourself accountable for your actions. Okay. So in sports performance coaching, you hold the client accountable. You are the person that they have paid to help to hold them accountable. In life coaching, which is what I do, people pay me to hold them accountable. Okay. So, and they love that. I'm texting them during the week and that helps to keep them on track. But you can do it yourself by reflecting on how you're doing like a self check in. So I will I do this with therapy clients too. Like, let's do a check in. I always say, what's the good, the bad, and the neutral? What's going good? What's going well? What's not going well? And what's stayed the same? All right. You can do that for yourselves, everybody. Well, everybody who comes to me loves that. They love that accountability piece because they can't rely on themselves right now to do it on their own. So they will have me do it. The goal is at some point have you do it on your own. All right. So that's really important. So, this and do a realistic self assessment. So it's important to self assess. And if you're not doing it in your life, I would encourage you to do it, to take some time to look at, all right, what's the state of me? How am I doing? How's 2024 been? There's only about 6 weeks left in 2024. What's gone well this past year? What's not gone well? What has fallen off that I said I was going to do last December of 2023? What's not gone well? And what's just kind of stayed the same? What's not changed at all because maybe I haven't paid attention or haven't worked on it? And do I want to work on that for 2025?
Yeah.
Okay. So accountability and reflection.
Reflection's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, in any world, any industry, right? It's you have to take a second to look back and evaluate and check the box on certain mini successes, which are leading you to the big box, right?
Yeah.
You have to look at that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we have to look at areas for strength and areas for growth, like areas where we have strength and areas where we can grow. All of us has areas in our lives where we can grow. All of us have areas in our lives, in our work, in our workspace that we can grow and we can improve. We all have places, we're talking about athletics a lot, where we can work on improving, but every single one of us does. There's things I can do to improve. Always, always. I mean, whether it be like the machinations of the systems of how I run and work in my business, that could always be improved. I could get more organized systems set up. Just think of it for yourself in your life and think of what areas of my life can I improve on, and without judgment, without criticism, because self-criticism, for some people it might work. For many people, it just makes them feel down. So this isn't about having you feel down. It's about being realistic and looking at your flaws and saying, all right, what can I do to change them?
Right.
But don't judge it.
Right.
Okay. I want you to focus. Number 10, I want you to focus on the process, not the outcome. This is really important. We've been talking about that, if you've noticed, kind of the whole way through. Yes, I want you to focus on the fact that you want to pass the bar exam and you want to pass your boards, in medical school and residency. Of course. Yes, I want you to finish that race. I want you to see changes in your life. You're working with me as a life coach. I want you to see changes after we work together. I want you to have an outcome. If you are coachable and you've done the work that I have given to you, you're going to see changes. And you need to know what that looks like for you. Most people say to me, my mindset's changed. I'm not ripping on myself anywhere near the way I used to, but my mindset has changed. You've given me the skills, Anna, to work on my thoughts. That's huge. But the outcome isn't that they're going to come to me and all of a sudden 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, a year, 2 years later, they have a perfect life. No, no, no. I'll never promise that because you'll never have a perfect life. But the process of self-improvement has been so dramatic for them. They're not the same person a year later.
Yeah.
Because their mind is different.
I mean, if you think about it, so the process leads you to whatever that goal is at the end. The amount of time spent managing the process versus the amount of time that you're at the finish line, right?
Yeah.
They don't even compare to each other.
Right.
And you're going to use the method that you were coached. Let's say some coach took you through the process, right? And helped you understand what that process is all about and why you're doing certain things. Those are things you're going to rinse and repeat potentially for the rest of your life. So really the process is everything. Okay, it gets you to the finish line, whatever that means for one thing, but there's going to be a bunch of other finish lines coming up your way at some point.
Right. When you really focus on the effort you're putting into making changes and you focus on the preparation, which we've been talking about in this episode. So your effort, your preparation, and the execution of strategies. Like we just talked, like, so my strategy for how I wake up in the morning, that's a strategy. When I work and I put effort into it and I think about it ahead of time, that is going to build confidence naturally. You're going to start to feel good about it. Like, oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, 6 months ago, this is a big deal, but now I don't think twice. My alarm goes off at 6 and I'm up and I'm making my bed, brushing my teeth and washing my face, or I'm showering and I've got my gym clothes on that I put out the night before and I'm out the door. You have confidence in that.
Yeah.
And you have confidence as you're driving to the gym or you're going to your basement or whatever, where it is you work out to work out, or as you're getting ready for whatever it is that you have going on that day, a meeting, a staff meeting or something, a team leader meeting, and you're the team leader. Hopefully you have put effort into it. You prepared for what you're going to talk about, and you've got strategies that you have executed in the past. You got confidence because like, I got this. I know how to do this. Yeah.
It's good.
Okay. And then now the last one is, I want you to instill a long-term vision. So for many of us, we need to see the big picture, and that's really important. So I help my clients see the big picture. You can see the big picture for yourself of what it is that maybe your goals. So let's say now 2025, we're in the end of November. Start thinking about what you want to improve, what you want to work on for 2025. Okay. So confidence is built over time through consistent effort. All right. So I say this all the time. I will repeat this till my dying day. Where does confidence come from? Confidence comes from working on yourself consistently. You're not always going to be motivated to do the thing, to do the big thing. It's hard. Yes, it's hard. It's hard for all of us. It's not easy. No one ever said life was going to be easy. When we set big goals for ourselves or even the littler goals, just stay consistent and you would be amazed at the confidence you feel that, oh my gosh, I've been doing this like 5 times a week for the past month. Wow. Like for the past 4 weeks, I've been doing this. Now I do it like Monday through Friday. I've been doing it for 3 months. Now you got a habit, a really nice habit that's in place. And maybe it's you sit to write every 5 days a week for 30 minutes. Maybe you're reading 10 pages of a book every day for the past month. And there you go. You're confident and you feel so good about yourself because you finish a book. Now you're on to the next, when reading is something that's completely been taken out of your life because of social media and streaming and all the stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So whatever it is, but it's instill a long-term vision of where you want to be. And I would say now, say June of 2025, what are your goals? What is it that you want to be working on?
Yeah.
All right. Be consistent and don't judge yourself when you fall off the horse. That's your self-compassion. Just get back up and go again. There's really very little excuses in life. 90% of us make excuses. Only 10% of us have good reasons. So no excuses, get back up and keep moving forward. Even if you're just going baby steps, just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
I always think of it like you have along the way, so along the journey or along the process, you have these little moments of success, right? So there's a little bit of success. You get a taste of that. It makes you feel good.
And that's sustainable confidence.
Yeah. And then you get a little bit more and you keep going. It's like you're pushing this thing up the hill, and all of a sudden the hill flattens out and you're like, okay, I can do this on a flat road, right?
Yeah.
I'm good now.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go. Exactly. It gets a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Okay. So I hope that was helpful. I'm going to go through them all very quickly to recap. So if you're still listening, that's amazing that you're still listening. So
That's amazing.
You're getting the overview, right? So you want to build confidence, and we're taking this now from a sports performance angle. You want to build confidence. Here's the ways we look at it as athletes and as sports performance coaches. Number one, assess and identify your mental barriers. Number two, you need to focus on your strengths and your past successes. You all have past successes. Look at those, focus on those, set small attainable goals for yourself. Use visualization techniques. All right. And if you want more on that, let me know. I can certainly talk a lot more about visualization, but you have enough of explanation in this episode to know what that is. Next one, implement positive self-talk and affirmations. I think this might be the most important out of everything I've said today. These 2 episodes is positive self-talk and affirmations. Next is centering and grounding techniques. Then you're moving into, I want you to build a growth-oriented mindset. No scarcity. I want growth, and I want abundance-oriented mindset. You're going to develop a performance routine. A performance routine is just developing a routine. And I'm talking just about your everyday life. Okay. Encourage accountability and reflection. All right. That's really important. I want to encourage you to really hold yourself accountable and reflect on how you're doing. Okay. So spend some time doing check ins with yourself. You just kind of like a state of the union of me and how I'm doing. All right. I want you to focus on the process, not the outcome. Yes, you can look at the outcome. You can think about the outcome. And that's important to do because it kind of puts the carrot in front of the horse. I want you to have something to strive for, but focus on the process. I want you to learn to fall in love with the process. That's going to keep you consistent. That's going to keep you in the game, so to speak, the game of life until the end. And then instill a long-term vision. All right. So really put that into you, instill in yourself the long-term vision. For many of you, it's life, of just doing well in life. Think about your long-term vision, your goals for your work life, your personal life, maybe relationships in your life. All right. Maybe you need to instill in yourself a long-term vision to be a better communicator. And I want you to think of the different rungs in the ladder that are going to get you to that long-term vision. So what do you have to do? What's your strategy? What are your tactics to work on communicating better, with a long-term vision being, in a year from now, I'm going to be able to speak my truth and show up for myself and for others in a way like I haven't ever before, because I've heard from too many people that I don't listen. Well, I'm going to really, really work on that. I'm going to do a deep dive. There you go. That's sports performance that leads to confidence.
I like it.
All right. Okay, everyone, please subscribe, rate with 5 stars, review the podcast, 1 or 2 sentences. That would mean so much to me. And I do read them. And, it really makes a difference in new people finding the podcast, because it helps us improve our rankings. Mad love. And until next week,
All right.
take care.